Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles. Riley Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au, and he's always across the latest celebrity headlines.
It wasn't a spectacular beginning. There was a whisper at first. There were whispers in Westminster that something monumental was about to happen. Not a tantrum for the tabloids, not a crusade on Instagram. The oldest democratic parliament in the world, the House of Lords, is home to a genuine one.
Is still using her HRH title despite agreeing to drop the title when the Sussexes left royal duties. How is Will planning to deal with this?
Was no longer a public outcry, it was reprisal from the institution. The wheels of British power are grinding against Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex by title, and she could soon become the Duchess of Nothing. It didn't start with a tabloid leak or even a scandal. Silence descended as a whisper rolled through Westminster's hallways.
Meghan Markle has been very brazen recently with the use of the HRH. Now, royal fans will know in 2020, during the negotiations for Harry and Meghan to leave royal duties, it was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working.
However, for the first time since Meghan, the British aristocracy has formally declared war on Meghan Markle, and that murmur has now burst into a thundering motion. This time, the House of Lords has filed a legal petition to permanently deprive her of the title of Duchess of Sussex, and it's not merely symbolic. Legislation is real, and it's destroying everything she believed she could keep. Let's start with what many people wrote off as wishful thinking only a few months ago. The petition to revoke Meghan Markle's titles has been formally accepted and discussed by the House of Lords.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. And there was a very interesting source inside close to the Prince of Wales who spoke to the Daily Beast.
Not a popular tweet, not a YouTube tirade, but a real parliamentary motion supported by both Conservative and Labour peers and introduced by crossbench Lord Simon Lee. This is an unprecedented petition. It lists particular causes: frequent violations of diplomatic protocol, public derision of royal position, and the use of a royal title for profit. The rhetoric used is harsh, accusing Meghan of undermining the sovereign dignity of a title granted in trust. This is now an issue of legislative and legal sovereignty rather than royal family. Parliament is taking action in response to Buckingham Palace's refusal to impose penalties. What ultimately prompted the recent unofficial royal tour of Nigeria to be undertaken by the Lords under the pretense of a private cultural tour, Meghan and Harry led through events hosted by top military and government figures while wearing traditional garb. Don't get me wrong, though, this was a royal trip in every way except name. As if they were still full-time royals on crown duty, the Sussexes made speeches about representing British history and participated in photo ops with generals. Whitehall was furious because government representatives were taken by surprise. Insiders claim that neither the Foreign Office nor Buckingham Palace were notified or consulted. The House of Lords criticized the Nigerian trip as unapproved diplomatic posturing that threatens the Crown's foreign policy neutrality precisely because of this rogue diplomacy.
For hours since the release of Harry and Meghan's bombshell Netflix documentary, and the papers have been reacting overnight. Oh boy, have they been reacting. The pair are dominating the front pages. One Conservative MP said that he is planning to bring forward legislation in an attempt to strip the Duke and Duchess of Sussex of the...
There is more to the House of Lords than meets the eye. They are reacting to a surge of public annoyance. In a startling YouGov poll conducted in May 2025, 77% of British citizens think Meghan should no longer be known as the Duchess of Sussex. That is the strongest anti-Sussex sentiment ever noted, and it is not just a plurality, it is a landslide.
Changed my mind on things, but I didn't want them to be stripped of it, but I think I now understand they're trying to do, I think that would really be validated if they said, this institution isn't for us. We love our family, but we would like to hand these back. And I think that would be incredible.
Even greater than it was during the Oprah Winfrey scandal. Rarely do voters from different political parties agree. Titles have constitutional weight and importance. They are not just trendy accessories. More tellingly, 61% of respondents believe that Harry should also lose his titles, especially His Royal Highness. However, for the time being, Meghan is the center of attention due to her notorious Beyoncé comment, commercialism, and institutional embarrassment. As you are aware, I am here in Sussex. Let's now discuss the event that transformed popular annoyance into institutional action.
You think they might be?
They could be. I mean, it really depends on the next part of the documentary and what it shows, doesn't it? You know,
Because we
we're all getting
we
haven't had the shock factor yet. I feel really sad about it, to be honest.
I
feel sad that we've got to this point. I think they could have made a lot of differences.
I wish we could.
In a widely shared video at Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter show in Los Angeles, Meghan Markle was seen yelling, "You know I'm Sussex now," and smiling. She even instructed Mindy Kaling to lovingly nickname her Meghan Sussex. Meghan for many, it appeared to be a spontaneous jest, but for House of Lords members, it was the last indication that Meghan views her title as Duchess as a joke or a marketing ploy. This instance is particularly mentioned in the petition, which characterizes it as a crude trivialization of sovereign names.
It would not be a good move because we need to try and cool the temperature. We need to try and kind of understand what is this all about, and that was my big thing with watching 3 hours of it last night. 3 hours. I thought,
won't get them back, Kate.
I thought, what are they trying to say? And I wasn't even quite sure. What did they say to you?
Well, there was life. They've moved to America. They've got their house. They've got their kids over there, so they're not really part of our.
I don't think it's even that they don't deserve it. It's just they don't want to live it.
Yeah.
So if they don't want to live it, then what's the point?
It will make what they're saying more authentic, because I think it is authentic, but you can't say all of that and then keep those titles.
Yeah.
I mean,
In contrast to tabloids or royal rumors, this action originates from the center of British government. The king has remained mute and the monarchy has not taken any action, but the House of Lords has made a strong statement. Additionally, history may soon rescind Meghan Markle's status as Duchess of Sussex. Even while Meghan Markle's supporters shout racism and misogyny, the truth is much more grave. It's now constitutional. Tabloids don't drive the House of Lords. It is supported by centuries of royal tradition and prior law. Additionally, it is now directly targeting Meghan Markle's Sussex title. The full scope of her alleged misbehavior is shown in bullets 5 through 8 of this petition. The petition's most serious accusations center on Meghan's repeated violations of the Royal Communications Protocol.
think of her as an actress. And I remember when I was in a relationship years ago, everything I did and said, whether I cried, whether I joked, this boyfriend of mine would say, well, you're an actress.
As if you were fake.
So I think as if it was fake. So I feel that she's also a bit awkward and watching everything that she's saying, so that doesn't play well to people. But
Ancient code intended to stop royals from saying things they shouldn't, especially when they're overseas. For example, Meghan's podcast archetypes are mentioned by name in the Lord's discussion. She frequently used her time as a princess to support private endeavors in it. She accused an anonymous royal of racism and made unsubstantiated allegations regarding the royal family's handling of her child's mental health issues. Although the palace has long declined to comment, the Lords contend that Meghan's remarks made while still bearing the title of Duchess of Sussex created diplomatic embarrassment and that Parliament is not bound by such a responsibility.
3 white siblings and then 2 mixed-race siblings that I got to know later in life. All I am is a country bumpkin from Kent.
yeah.
I don't know any different, and I didn't grow up thinking about that difference.
Okay.
And when you looked at it from her point of view, she said...
And damaged the monarchy's standing throughout the Commonwealth. This is about exploiting a title of royal privilege to make personal assaults against an institution that is unable to respond. It has nothing to do with free speech. Next, the petition denounces what it describes as the flagrant commercialization of a sovereign title. The agreements Meghan and Harry made with Spotify and Netflix went beyond simple content agreements. They were packaged, marketed, and sold under the Sussex name. It's not just subtle, either. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were present when the 2022 Netflix series officially launched.
I got if I wasn't Dame Kelly Holmes double Olympic champion based on the colour of my skin, as opposed to people understanding my cultural background. I don't know any different than being a Kent white girl.
Yeah.
From what I see and what I know, because everyone around me was white. This is a normal environment.
Not less in royal fonts, Meghan and Harry even tried to make Archewell and Sussex Royal International trademarks. They were only compelled to abandon the use of royal in merchandise after the Queen directly stepped in. These actions are described by the House of Lords as unlawful commercial exploitation of her noble status, which may give rise to her title being removed by legislation. Simply put, she transformed monarchy into reality TV, which was noted by Parliament. Next, it is alleged that Meghan has intentionally helped to transform a dignified title into a tabloid punchline. Her frequent press appearances, paparazzi pursuits, and the notorious vehicle chase claim in New York are all mentioned in the petition. NYPD described it as exaggerated. Meghan and Harry presented themselves as victims in order to sustain their prominence in the media. The credibility of British titles is tarnished by this self-inflicted public spectacle, according to the Lords. They also give instances of lesser royals, like Princess Alexandra, who have served the public in a discreet capacity without ever making an appearance on a Netflix series or podcast. The repressive message that you cannot claim victimhood while establishing a media empire based on a title you say. Meghan conflates personal advocacy and diplomatic representation by attending public events, holding private meetings with military chiefs, and speaking in traditional Nigerian attire while wearing her Duchess title. This kind of conduct puts British foreign policy at danger of international misunderstanding, particularly as the Foreign Office and Buckingham Palace were never consulted. Lords contend that such actions run the risk of undermining the monarchy's constitutional function as an impartial head of state. To put it briefly, she behaved like a working royal without authorization, supervision, or repercussions. Parliament has finished observing from the sidelines thus far. British law and Meghan Markle's royal fantasy have clashed, and in this peer-to-peer courtroom, titles are earned rather than misused. The Duchess of Sussex might be removed in the following steps, not through scandal, but through law. The notorious Oprah interview is particularly mentioned by the House of Lords. Meghan claimed that the royal family was racist, but she would not give names. Instead, she used the public's suspicions to fuel a media frenzy that portrayed the monarchy as fundamentally authoritarian and imperialist. Remember that she was still known as the Duchess of Sussex at the time, and the Lords characterized this as a public outcry against the monarchical institution that was initiated beneath the shield of a peerage title. The sovereign's title carries accountability rather than a license for international character assassination. Meghan didn't just take a backseat. She exploded as she was leaving, which Parliament believes is not protected speech. It's sabotage of the institution. The knockout blow's last point centers on the British public's reaction, citing surveys, petitions, and growing public annoyance rather than Meghan's acts. The Lords contend that the integrity of the British honor system is threatened by a private American citizen's ongoing use of the title Duchess of Sussex. We are discussing a woman who lives in Montecito, appears on red carpets with celebrities, and stars in documentaries. Not a representative of the monarchy or the British people. The Lords call it a mockery of noble position that is continuously exploited for private benefit against its ceremonial intent. The name is now a Netflix franchise, a brand, and a logo. And this is where the main issue lies. The monarchy loses more than just credibility if it is unable to uphold the integrity of its titles. It becomes unmanageable. By drawing a line in the sand, the petition accomplished what years of courteous silence were unable to. It's possible Meghan Markle based her empire on the Duchess of Sussex. However, that foundation is set to fall apart if the House of Lords gets its way. This is a constitutional eviction, not merely a royal reckoning. Thus, the whispers have turned into a call to action. The British public's long-simmering dissatisfaction has exploded into a formal petition at the highest governmental levels. A constitutional motion to strip Meghan Markle of the last vestiges of royal status she holds onto. This is about restoration, not retaliation, restoring the dignity of the British institution that has withstood scandals, abdications, and world wars, as well as the honor of the monarchy, which is now being dragged through the mud by a Hollywood duchess who now calls herself a feminist disruptor. Harry and Meghan desired freedom. They called for a life outside the royal walls, free from obligations, responsibilities, and hierarchy. It was granted by the monarch, but there was no peace that resulted. Profit was the reason. Not confidentiality, but platforms not quiet, but loud headlines, Netflix revealers, and audio confessionals that denigrated the very organization they took advantage of.